Are you ready to get philosophical?
I fucking love this shit.
Beautiful listeners, you are worth all the stars in the sky.
Hell yeah.
And at least 2 perfectly cooked grilled cheeses.
Hell yeah. Does a bear shit in the woods?
Sometimes. He's been known to shit in a liquor tent. Yeah, pick up a book, losers.
Pick up a book, losers.
Welcome to the Based Banter Podcast.
Welcome to the Based Banter Podcast. My name is Joey and I will be your host today. I am a former professional wrestler, an actor, and an artist, and a streamer on Twitch. You can find me at Arcano Joe. And with me, as always, is my co-host, Jerry. Jerry, tell him a little bit about yourself.
What's up, everybody? I'm so glad you're here. I am a musician, a podcaster, and I'm also a really good friend, I like to believe.
These are all facts backed by science, ladies and gentlemen. Our sources are unknown. But regardless, today...
They are undeniable.
Today, if you are a new listener, I want to go ahead and give you a breakdown of what you are to expect from the Based Banter Podcast. Here, we talk about every single thing in existence. No holds barred. All topics are on the table, and we will bounce ideas back and forth, and the entire goal is for you, the listener, to take away education, information, and new life lessons, something you can live with that makes you a better person, and this also makes us a better people.
And this episode is going to be hosted by none other than my buddy Joey. So Joey, what was he thinking about today? What's on your mind?
So, with the way that the world is going today, I'm a part of a lot of like groups on social medias. I stay in tune with a lot of what's going on in the science community, and I've been following this comet that's coming closer and closer to planet Earth. This comet is
Are you
called...
talking about the 3i Atmos? What is it?
It's 3i Atlas. And
Atlas.
Yes. Just to kind of give you a little bit of a breakdown, what's going on here. If you're not familiar, there's this object. It's entered into our solar system. It's rapidly approaching. It's supposed to make its destination closest to Earth by November. And right now, this is currently October. So as a listener, once you listen to this, it might even be closer. The information we talk about today might have changed. It's an ever-changing event. It's ongoing, and I just wanted to talk about it because I find the implications of what are being speculated to be intrinsically interesting.
So I know very little about this, but what I do know is that it has movements, kind of like intentional movements, to where it was going one way and then it kind of like shifted and then started going another way.
Yes, and that is typically not characteristics for a typical comet in our solar system, which is why this is such a fascinating topic, and we'll dive into a lot of that stuff later on. I just wanted to kind of hit you with a little bit of information just so we can kind of set the foundation, kind of like building a house. I want to start from the ground up.
Okay, so all right, we've picked out this plot of land. We're here. This is the Based Banter Podcast. This is the plot of land. So where do we start?
Well, let's start with, what is this interstellar object? It's 3i Atlas. It's the third confirmed interstellar object. It's second after the Oumuamua and the Borisov. Its discovery was first detected on July 1st of this year, 2025, by the Atlas telescope, which that stands for the Asteroid Terrestrial Impact Last Alert System, which is fucking freaky, if you ask me.
What is the most freaky about it, though?
The fact that, we constantly are observing space and we're watching everything that happens out there and we're documenting it and we're relaying this information to the public. To me, what is the freakiest is what information is being withheld, because they don't tell us everything, right?
Right. There's got to be something that they withhold.
Right.
That they've got to filter out and be like, no, this isn't ready for the public. This is this information we gotta send to like generals?
Have you ever seen the movie Don't Look Up?
I have not. Why don't you tell our viewers, listeners?
Okay, so the reason I bring this up is because it's topical and it's relatable. In the movie Don't Look Up, the main actor is Leonardo DiCaprio. It's actually a really fucking amazing movie. It's hilarious. What they talk about in this movie is these are journalists and scientists who are trying to sound the alarm of a rapid approaching world-ending comet, and the people in society, they just don't care. They're all worried about paying rent, paying bills, social media. There's politicians running for office who are just who would rather focus on winning their term versus this world-ending apocalypse that's rapidly approaching. So what do they tell the masses once they find out, hey, everything's about to end? They say, don't look up. But throughout the movie, you'll notice it gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And spoiler alert if you've not seen it.
Okay, spoiler. How long has this movie been out?
Probably a couple years. So
okay, you had your chance to see this movie. This is your spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert, everybody dies. It
everyone.
And kills everyone. But the takeaway from this is that through our own human hubris, we've ignored the warning signs and did not prepare based off of our current cultural society. So I think that right now is a perfect time to talk about this rapidly approaching comet 3I Atlas, which is over 11 miles long, mind you. And
so why did you mention this movie, though? This movie that has to do with a cataclysmic event where it basically, I mean, you said it wipes out everybody. So what's the relation between the two things?
Well, I mentioned the movie because, again, you know, all this information that we get is filtered through controlled release media, right? Everything that we're allowed to know is it's simply that. It's what we're allowed to know. What of this information is not designed for the public to know? So to me, I think, especially with all of the anomalies involved with 3I Atlas, how it changes course, how it has a plume tail in the front versus the back, which is incredibly uncharacteristic for a comet in our solar system, how these weird anomalies are playing a factor in the data that we receive. How serious is this event? Does this event correlate with a world-ending event? Since this thing has already changed course once, could it change course again? Could it directly impact planet Earth? Could it be a world-ending event? And if so, I think that it's our due diligence as a human society and people involved in our planet to talk about this kind of thing and spread information about it.
So let me talk in place of the common person, because the common person probably doesn't think much about astrological events where stuff is, hurling through space. That's a hard concept to grasp. Some people can only think as far as the next town, the next city, the next states. And then you want people to think about stuff that is out of this world, quite literally. Like, imagine our Earth is only the size of a golf ball and the sun is the size of like a basketball. Like, so that's a whole nother level of fathoming that I don't imagine people can really understand,
Right.
For the common person.
Sure, it's a hard concept to grasp, and it's not a thought experiment that you want to take a part of, because essentially what you're stating is, this could be the end of everything. And if it's the end of everything, then nothing matters. And if nothing matters, society collapses, which is why the narrative is controlled by the elites, people who are in control of what information is released, which is why talking about this information as it comes out is important, because when the information changes, we have data that correlates how the information was prior to that change. What is the intent to the change? What is the intent of the data being released? Is it all purely speculative, theoretical, or is this all data to warn people? What's actually going on? That's the big question I want to ask here today, is what are the implications behind an interstellar object entering entering our solar system, and what can it actually do? What's the harm it can cause economically, financially, even socially? Like, what can be done, and can we even control the outcome?
On a personal level, what would you want it to mean?
On a personal level, I would want full disclosure. I would want transparency from the people who have all of the knowledge with all of the technology, that know everything and are releasing filtered information. I would like the choice of knowing whether or not prior to November, come December, there is no Earth. What if, let's just pretend that...
So if you knew there was a really thought out, calculated timeline of what your life would be, knowing that in 3 months' time, 4 months, 5 months, 6 months, that an asteroid would hit and would wipe out everything that you know and love, how would that change your day-to-day?
Personally, it's like that old country song, right? Like what how does it go? It's like, live like you were dying, or something like that. Live like you were dying. I think that's a very important correlation, because it would give the people who are on Earth a chance to do things and live the way that they want to live without any regrets. I mean, who the fuck is going to continue to go to work when there's not going to be a work to go to in 2 months? Right? I would spend my time with family and friends and doing the things that I would love and want to do. But, that's why, this is exactly why the people in control want to control this narrative, because they don't want society to collapse.
Okay, so with that said, I have to bring up something that is a little bit controversial. And that there was recently a rapture predicted.
Oh, yeah, the rapture.
And some people really bought into it. Some people really believed. They gave away the deed to their house. There was full belief in that, the second coming, that they'd be saved. There was full belief, like no doubt, no skepticism, to where these people were giving away their earthly belongings just to find out that nothing happens.
Or maybe it did, and we are the ones left on the planet, and we're suffering. I mean, who really knows? Personally, I think this is like the 40th rendition of the rapture to date, right? There's always going to be these people who have these visions and predictions that predict the end times. What you need to take away from this is, if you truly believe in the scripture, the Bible tells you there will not be a warning for the rapture. It will just happen. It will just take place, and those who will go, and those who will stay.
And not to just like full sin on Christianity right now, right? Because we're kind of on that line.
Right, because that's Christianity belief, because obviously other beliefs have their own raptures and their own apocalypse.
But to kind of defend Christianity and kind of like throw something in there, the Bible doesn't mention anything about a rapture. Rapture is only something that has come like in the past 20th, 21st century. It isn't something that is believed upon by, generations and generations and Christians before Christians.
Nice. That's a fascinating topic. I really didn't know that. Honestly, I have not looked into the rapture itself. I just remember seeing the people talking about it and being like, well, Thursday's the last day of life. I mean, I got to go to work Friday, so if it's going to happen, let it happen before my work shift.
So the last time I remember, okay, so we are a little bit too old, too young for Y2K, right? You and I are both like 31, 32, yeah?
Yes.
And Y2K, we were youngins. We were real youngins. So not to out anybody in our audience, but maybe you could share your experience, because we have social medias that you could definitely hit us up on. We will give you those at the end of the episode, though. So thank you for listening. But what I was getting to is December 21st, 12th, 2021, 2012. The twos and the ones mix me up. So, do you remember, you know what I'm talking about, though?
Oh, are you talking about with the Mayan calendar?
The Mayan calendar. So that was 12/21/2012. That's something that sticks in my mind because there was a lot of people that was kind of betting on it. And then there was other people that was playing fun with it. I was also playing fun with it because I went to an end of the world party. I mean, underaged, possibly.
As you should.
As you should. Or should not behave and listen to your fucking
you
parents.
can have a party without any kind of nefarious activities.
Yeah, for sure. But I went to a little party playing fun, poking fun at the end of the world, saying that, December 12th, it was going to be it. Did I say 12th or 21st?
It's one of those. I mean, yeah, I get what you're saying because, like, with the whole idea of, like, an apocalyptic scenario taking place, it changes the fundamentals to society. And the implications of the end of everything that you know and love are not impossible. I mean, our education system teaches us throughout history that it's happened before, it will happen again. I mean, we passed through the, what is the asteroid belt where I think it's Halley's Comet is a part of it. We pass through an asteroid belt every single year, and basically that's a shooting gallery. Any one of those asteroids could hit. Any one of those could be an end time size asteroid.
So one of my favorite space facts, right? Because whenever you start to think about it and get deep into thought, you probably start wondering, why are all of the planets, mind you, in this elliptical sort of fashion? Why aren't none of them going like in a y-axis? Why are all of them just in this y-axis? And this is because of millions, if not billions of years to where the planets that were going in that sort of directions like collided. And we are all just kind of in sync, like us, as I mean, like what I mean is like the planets in like the circular fashion. So it's just really interesting to think about that. If it was any other way, it would collide and be chaos.
Right. Like the probability of our existence on this planet are so astronomically, no pun intended, low that
we love the puns.
That it's incredible to think about how we're even here to even speculate on this kind of a topic at all. I mean, we know that it's happened before, and through probability, we know it can happen again, and that's why it's a real concern for those people who are paying attention to it. That's why we have full fucking companies that dedicate their entire time, when they have people who have jobs, their entire jobs are to stare at space and to keep track of these objects that are predetermined destinations, to make sure that, hey, if something is about to hit the planet, we need to know about it. And then we created programs that are a defense force. I mean, I don't know if you've heard about some of the plans that they've made about certain things when it comes to like defending the planet from asteroids, but there are precautions in place.
Launching nukes?
We're launching nukes, buddy. No, I mean,
you gotta understand how crazy that sounds, because nukes are a weapon of war.
I think the actual goal isn't to blow the object up, because then that makes many smaller objects, which can also be a problem.
I mean, they burn up in our atmosphere, though.
I think the actual plan is to change the trajectory course. So they would put something, or they would hit it in a way that it would take it off of its course. Right now, again, this is all assuming that it's a rock. We have.
Oh dang! See, okay, so I was gonna take off of that point and be like, and that is amazing how science works, because our giant fucking planet here has gravity, and there's gravity and all this shit, to where we'd have to factor that into. And then you said wholeheartedly, like, maybe it isn't just a rock. Maybe it is something with intention. Maybe it is something that isn't just as simple as an object flying through space. Maybe it is something that has a little bit more intelligence behind it.
Right. Like when it comes to our planning for this kind of a thing to have happen to the planet, we have to take into consideration of what the actual object is. Now, I don't know how caught up you are on UAP, full disclosure, or the phenomenons involved with like the congressional hearings and the New York Times releasing information, and then like whistleblowers coming out and talking about extraterrestrial visitors.
Okay, so I would like to think I'm right in that common ground where all of our listeners are, where they aren't too savvy on everything. Maybe they've heard a little bit here and there, and then maybe some of them have not heard. Excuse me. Maybe none of them have not heard anything about none of this because it's not in any of their news channels.
Right.
So, would you elaborate on the first bit of that?
Right. So, kind of piggybacking on this entire topic here, the idea is that this is a foreign interstellar object coming from out of our solar system, entering into our solar system, and it has anomalistic capabilities that aren't falling into the scope of what we as our scientists understand for what's normal. Now,
So, put that into layman's terms. For the people that didn't understand the big, fancy fucking science words. See, I understand what you mean. But
basically, this thing doesn't behave like it should. And this is the three-eye atlas that I'm referring to. And the reason that I'm talking about it in this sense is because, and I'm connecting these dots for you, because since these...
that's what we're here for. This is the Base Banner Podcast. This is fucking based.
It's very based. And I mean, you know, this is a hard topic to talk about because the information is always changing. You're dealing with information that's filtered through controlled release topics, and you know, you've got to just take what you get and run with it.
Right, because this isn't our data. This isn't from our telescopes. This isn't from our fucking Hubble. This isn't from our James Webb.
Well,
so this is...
A lot of this is from James Webb, and
but not from ours.
Not
though.
From my James Webb.
We don't get to look through...
Not from Joey's Webb's telescope. But basically what we're getting at here is that there are actual reputable scientists who have identified this three-eye atlas as if it was some kind of anomalous intelligent design. I have a specific scientist to name for you. His name is Avi Loeb, which if you are familiar with what I'm about to say, then you'll already know where I'm going with this. But if you're not, Avi Loeb, let me go ahead and give you a breakdown of what and who Avi Loeb is and what he does. So basically, Avi Loeb, he's a scientist at Harvard. He's give me a second here. I'm going to pull up my notes because I want to make sure I get this correct, because I don't want to talk about somebody's credentials incorrectly.
I'm going to hijack this and say, out of all of this, out of everything we've talked about, if you can imagine that there is a big, vast universe out there, then you can imagine believing in your fucking self for at least one day, for at least 1 minute, for at least 1 hour. You are capable of great, amazing, wonderful things. And it has shown that in your imagination, as you imagine this along with us, that you can believe in wonderful, wondrous things. And so I want you to believe in yourself and take care.
Believe in yourself, and don't take what we say as doomsday naysayers or people who are trying to get you to quit your job, because, you know...
Dude, if anything, right, we would want you to live your life more monumentously. Is that a word? Monumentally.
There we go.
That was the word I was trying to land on. Monumentally, right? Because you imagine these monuments that are stricken up for people that have done great things, and then some not so great, depending on, you know, who you are and what you think. Regardless, but I'm just saying, the point stands that if you live your life as if you are somebody, dude, you'll be so much happier. You don't have to live it narcissistically and be like, I am the end all be all, I'm the great, I'm the
He's
alpha
the
nugget.
goat.
No. That's where you get toxic, and that's where you lose sight of what really fucking matters is human connection and the human experience.
But we're all on this rock together, buddy.
For sure.
In the grand scheme of things, none of this all really matters, right? I mean, at the end of the day, what matters to you, and that's the end. But back to what I was talking about.
What a wonderful conclusion, man. So anyone drinking at home, anyone having a drink, I would like for you to have some water and be hydrated.
So we base off of all of our information off of people who are more intelligent than us, right?
For sure.
Who put in the work.
People that have the tools to receive the information and decipher the information.
Right. So throughout the entire education system, we're all regurgitating information from people who are more superior with knowledge. This particular knowledge comes from a guy named Avi Loeb. He's a Harvard scientist. He is he works as a professor of science, and he's made some astronomical claims, be it pretty crazy.
Big ass claims.
And this isn't just me or Jerry talking about this could be an alien. This is a guy who has an educational background.
Okay, so this is beyond what you and I could say. This is a little bit of a transference, a little bit of a transcription.
Yes. So what Loeb has suggested, he suggested that 3I Atlas could be more than just a comet or an asteroid, that it may represent a technological artifact. It could have been sent here from an alien or extraterrestrial, or it could be a ship on its way into our solar system. He has framed this more as a thought experiment, and the scientific community does not agree with this. This isn't something that people.
So his peers are like, no, I mean, dude, you might be out of your lane.
Right, but he has evidence that backs up his claims. He's not just shooting from the hip saying this could be an alien. No, he speculated that its trajectory, its brightness, its lack of obvious cometary signatures might hint at a design or intention. What he's trying to say is that due to all of these anomalies we've talked about thus far, this thing could be intellectual. It could have intelligent design. This could be a first in our human history of our existence, a visitor from another solar system.
So let's treat this like a thought experiment, right? Because that's kind of like the idea that he was posing first. So the thought experiment, from what I'm gathering, is kind of what if, right? What if this is some... All right, we'll start with the first scenario of some intellectual sort of like ship, something that has intelligence and purpose, and it's coming here for some reason. What are your concerns, and what would you want it to be? Like, what could it be?
Yeah, so I like to link in this to, there's an analogy, right, where basically if you are alone in a forest, right?
Okay.
And
if a tree falls, does anyone hear it?
Does a bear shit in the woods?
Sometimes. He's been known to shit in the liquor tent.
But basically, imagine you're walking through a dense forest. You see trees, bushes, and wildlife, and you're familiar with your locations, and your main goal is to survive. And it gets nighttime. You have two choices.
It gets cold at night.
It gets cold at night. You have to light a fire to stay alive. What happens when you light that fire? It's like sending a signal to every predator that could have interest in eating you, killing you for sport, or causing you harm. What the idea behind this is that as we have this interstellar object approaching us, we've already sent all these signals out into the world, or out into the galaxy.
We come in peace. Don't fuck with us, please.
There's a very real chance that these visitors could be hostile. I mean, I don't want to be a doomsdayer, but we've already talked about the apocalypse, but there's a very real chance that there's more predatory life forms out in the galaxies that feast off of human flesh, human souls. They're interdimensional, and they want to consume people. And there's a very real possibility of that. It's not impossible.
See, I am so far from a conspiracy theorist where I ground everything in reality, but I like this idea of, so maybe everyone else has heard this theory, but there was a theory, because it's not provable, there's no evidence, there's no factual
Yet.
but they're saying there was an extraterrestrial force that came and introduced like the sort of DNA that makes up who we are, so they could, well, I'm not sure I understand this part, but I'm saying that it created a better slave to make like the pyramids and to be obedient.
Oh, I think I know what you're talking about.
If you could, man, that would be fucking great, because I'm kind of losing the memory here.
What you're kind of talking about, and this could also be one of those regurgitated stories told throughout history with the telephone effect, but basically in the Book of Enoch, it's a book of scriptures that was not added into the Christian Bible, kept aside, but in the Book of Enoch it talks about this alien race called the Anunnaki, who are a race of humanoid aliens who reside on a planet that's a dying planet. Its atmosphere is dying, so they have to recolonize another planet. So they find the closest planet in relative to their planet, which would be Earth. They go to Earth, they find a humanoid-like species, but their goal here is to mine minerals and resources to send back to their planet to rehabilitate their planet. Now, where this can be backed by scientific evidence is that part of the goal of the Anunnaki is to create the slave race, which would be humans, and what they do is they control the minerals gained from the humans, which would be gold. Then they take the gold and they send it to their planet to rehabilitate their atmosphere. Backing that with scientific evidence is with our own atmosphere, with the holes burned in the ozone layer based off of carbon emissions and global warming, we have devised plans to utilize gold in our ionosphere to rehabilitate our atmosphere. This is unrelated to the Book of Enoch. This is a correlation to a scientific discovery that also relates to old ancient religious texts. So basically, the human, if you believe everything that you've seen in that book, then all we are is a slave race of people designed to help repair the planetary inhabitation of a more advanced race of aliens.
But let me ask you this. In this sort of situation, this scenario to where people would have to unite and give up all their gold or help find gold, you really think the human race is the race to do it, to go out there and be like, oh yeah, this is for the sake of humanity, this is for the best of everybody?
It just depends, right? Like, the variables involved in with this would be like an algebraic equation, right? So if I were to...
That's x squared times b squared times c squared equals
d
Pythagorean's theorem.
Yeah, so basically... yeah, no, for real. Because what you're talking about is, you know... it sounds impossible, but that's only impossible based off of our current education, right? Like...
See, that's fucking deep. So that's basically saying there's a whole nother side of knowing, but we aren't taught how to know.
You don't know what you don't know.
You don't know what you don't know.
So let's just say for theoretical, because all of this is theoretical. We don't really know what's going on. For all we know, it could just be a deep space rock traveling through our solar system, and it's nothing more. But if it is more, the more we know about what's going on, the better we'll be able to adapt and react. Now, based off of what we don't know, since we don't know, that knowledge is infinitely impossible to comprehend, right? So if I'm talking to just your average Joe on the street about how I can repair the ionosphere with gold particles, they're gonna look at me like I'm speaking fucking an alien language, like it's a foreign dialect to them, and they're not gonna grasp any of it. They're gonna think I'm a crazy person. But that's all actual theoretical science. Like it's backed up by people they would respect if that person was talking to them. If I told you I had a PhD in science, this is what this does and this does and this does, you would believe me more because I have that educational background. But you only believe people based off of that premise. Then we have to take a step back and look at the fact that that information is filtered. A lot of it's designed to be released to the public in a way that is digestible for the people like that average Joe.
So how much of that goes beyond the scope of what's happening astrologically, just out past the Earth, and what happens like geopolitically, because if it happens there, it's got to happen everywhere.
Right. So, yeah, I mean, based off of all of the elements that make up our planet, we find those very same elements on asteroids and comets that make contact with Earth. We find those very similar elements on the moon, on Mars. The galaxy is made up of a principle of elements that all exist. So who's to say that the very same elements and the genetic makeups on our planet don't exist in other galaxies?
Right, and our periodic table of elements, right, because we can break it down to a molecular level and realize, this many electrons, this many neutrons, this many electrons makes this element. And we've been able to break it down to a point to where it's like, okay, this is the first element, this has this many, and then beyond. And we have a pretty good fundamental understanding of the building blocks. And then it even goes to a quantum level, right? You've heard of like quarks. Now, mind you, I'm not super specialized in this area, but it goes to a level beyond atoms.
Right. And as our education system expands through technology, we learn more and more. I mean, within the past 20 years, we've made groundbreaking discoveries all across the board. Just because we don't fully grasp and have an understanding of the way things are, does not mean that in the future that will change. Because what we're looking at right now is we look at it through a fogged up lens, and we're trying to see the things that we can understand. We're processing images through our basic understanding. But as we progress and as we gather more information and data, we start to understand more and more. So I think that's the huge difference between us and far more advanced civilizations.
So let me ask you this. What would be the best way, if you had the most ulterior motives, to abuse all of this information you've just laid upon all of us?
The best way to abuse it?
Yeah, buddy, lay it down.
Am I gonna be like at a meeting with the Illuminati, and I'm at the figurehead at a table trying to help them, guide them through their like manipulative tactics?
This might be a talking point. What you got?
So again, it goes back to the control and the flow of information. I think that a lot of people think power, like physical power, is true power. I think information is power. If you can control the flow of information, you control everything. It's all about what you know, not what you do. Really, I mean, like, you can't do anything without knowing anything. So if you're going to control a massive amount of people, you have to control what they know. You're not going to allow them all of the secrets of the universe, because if everyone knew everything, then no one would be special, right?
Right. And so let me hijack that and say that all of you are fucking special, because there is nobody that has ever existed in this timeline that has been you. And everyone that you are is fucking amazing. It's special, and it is delicate, and it is unique. And even though there is a little bit of a quandary where we wonder what is, what could be, right now we know that you are, and you can be. And so everything that you believe you can be, you can be more. And everything that you believe you can be reality. You know what I mean?
Which is why it bugs me so much to think about that there is this filter of information, that there is these people that sit in a room that decide on what can be allowed to be known and talked about and the public is allowed to know. To me, that is gravely insulting. It insults my very being all the way down to the core and my soul, because that tells me you think I'm not smart enough to make decisions based off of the information that you hold, and that you think that if everyone knew this information, society as we know it would collapse. That's bullshit. That's why I wanted to talk about this today, because I feel like if you gave us a chance, if you gave us this information and you allowed us to know, and if you allowed us to react, then we could save ourselves in a more productive way. We could work together. We could unify ourselves and we could come together with a solution. You would have people from all walks of life fighting this fight instead of being in the dark, trying to allow the minuscule minority of the people with the knowledge of this future where they have this dooming, alarming essence of this predetermined, disposed identity of this thing that's going to happen, and they're controlling everything themselves because they feel like they have all the answers, when in reality it takes everyone. All of us need to come together. All of us need to work together because we are all special. There's not a single human being out here on this planet that can't contribute in some way, shape, or form. If you have breath and oxygen in your lungs, you can help. If you have physical feet under your body, you can help. If you have a brain in your skull, you can help. You can play a part. You can make a difference. That's why this entire thing bugs me so much, because now that we have this Freedom of Information Act, we're starting to see a lot of the truths that were hidden from us. We're starting to find money was spent on certain things in a black budget. We're starting to see a lot of illegal activities were taking place. And we're starting to find the truth in this hidden reality that we've been living in, which is a lie. And it's a bullshit because they all thought we were too ignorant to deal with this information.
And I'm starting to see the theme, right? It may have dawned upon me a little bit late, but here we are. And that is the theme of today's episode, which I'm not hosting, but I would like to throw this out there, that what I'm picking up is maybe information should be a little bit more free, a little bit given to let everybody interpolate and figure out what it all means.
Yes and no. I mean, I get it. You don't want to hand a child a loaded gun, right? Because if that child isn't taught properly how to maintain the gun, how to use the gun, they could hurt themselves and they could hurt people around them. Look, I get it, all right? I understand where the government's coming from. It's not a matter of, there's like this kind of like this disdain towards them. I fully understand where they're coming from. But the point is, I personally feel like our human culture has advanced to a point now, not maybe 40 years ago, it's a totally different story. But now, with the internet, with all of the events that have taken place in the world, it's a different place. People are different. Trust in them. Trust that they'll make the right decision. Sure, you're going to have people go off and quit their jobs and then go do riots and kill each other and party all day long. Yeah, absolutely. But you're also going to have people who put their fucking boots on and fucking put their brains to the work and help fix this problem.
Do you think someone 100 years ago had the same thought as you?
I think this was something that happened 20,000 years ago, or maybe 13,000 years ago, near the Younger Dryas impact era. I think that we find evidence of a smarter civilization all throughout planet Earth.
Right, because I feel like that is a common misconception from everything that I learned, is that we think of like primitive people being like, ooga booga, I smash rock, rock make flint, flint make fire, tinder fire, fire warm, cook meat. Like, you know what I mean? Like, very simplistic. I mean, sure, maybe the most, like, simplistic of people but that was probably a short era, before people was like fire, tinder fire, fuel,
Right.
And even that's putting it crude, and even that's putting it barbaric. But I'm sure the primitive people, and then once they was past that primitive state, was like intellectuals. They was just like you and I, but different circumstances.
Right. Like it goes back to how, there's multiple ways to skin a cat, right? Like we may have combustible elements for propulsion, but there might be another way to do it. There might be a way to bend the fabric of reality around your physical being instead of moving through the fabric of reality. That's a hard concept to swallow, but that could very well be the reality of a possibility. Why move to a location when you can move the location to you? Right? And that sounds heavy and really hard to swallow and a really hard physical complex thought, but that just opens up the door for the possibilities that we may not know it all. It's our own human hubris to think that our knowledge is the supreme knowledge. Just because we exist in the here and now doesn't mean we're superior to the things that were then and there.
And that is such an amazing thought. And a really cool takeaway is that, look, we're looking at a grand scale. We're talking
Huge.
Generations and like the whole span of humanity. But if you just scale that down a little bit, man, dude, you can be so much more than you were yesterday and the day before. Right? I'm going to always bring it back to that. There's a positive takeaway, because as we span it out and we zoom out, I mean, there's a little bit of us in all of this. Yeah?
Absolutely.
We all play a part. All
Absolutely.
of us. And if you feel like your part's insignificant, if you feel like you don't do anything, I mean, maybe you could, and maybe you want to. It's just where your passion lies. It's where you can be creative enough to do something.
Yeah, no, I agree with you 100%. I think that more discussions like this is going to open the door for free-thinking people who are not going to limit themselves and put themselves in a box with the education system, and allow themselves to keep themselves from thinking freely about the things that are possible. I think moving forward, we're going to be able to expand our horizons as a human race, and we're going to achieve greatness we never imagined we could achieve. We might have already done it, and we're just now finally seeing that that's possible. And I think that's a beautiful thing. I think the more people who have discussions like you and I right now are going to open this door. We're going to kick the door down. We're going to say we want to know because we can, and when we do, we're going to take that fucking ball and we're going to run with it all the way to the destination, and we're going to reach human potential. Because what's the point of living this life if you're not doing your very best, if you're being held back by a lack of information or education, and you're doing it to yourself or someone's doing it to you? So what I want both of us to take away from this, and what I want the listener at home to take away from this, is that there's more than what you know. There's more going on than what you're allowed to know, and that you need to seek this out yourself, that you need to pursue knowledge, that you need to go out there and find it, and you need to take that knowledge and use it, and then you need to be a better version of yourself tomorrow because of this. Because at the end of the day, that's the whole goal, is to just be better than we were yesterday, no matter what.
And one of the most useful skills that has gotten humanity across all these different gaps is resourcefulness. So whatever resource you have at your disposal, making the most of. And there is a lot of information out there, even though some of it may be curated, some of it may pass through a few filters. There's still valuable information out there, and I believe in every single one of you to know and distinguish actual and factual.
Well, you know what? I think that's a great point. I think the people who listen to this may come away with a little bit more of a brain power to take it upon themselves to research other people like Avi Loeb, George Knapp, maybe even Bob Lazar. Go down these rabbit holes, listen to what these people have to say, and then decide for yourself. Don't take it from us. You know, you have the freedom with your own skull and your own mind to make these decisions yourself.
And that is a point I want to drive home is be skeptical. Ask questions, because what do you really fucking know? Can you prove it?
Absolutely not.
Really not.
Well, thank you guys for listening. This has been the Based Banter Podcast. As always, please find us on our social medias, Based Banter Podcast on the Instagram and Facebook page, as well as Based Banter Pod on Twitter, or X, formerly known as Twitter. And Discord will be coming to you soon so we can keep the conversation going. I have been your host today, Joey, and as always, with you is my co-host, Jerry. And thank you again. Please come back and listen.
Yes, sir. And you can find me on Instagram. The only social media I'm maintaining right now is Jerry Contrite, one word. And we look forward to keeping the conversation going. Peace.